Mike Kern covers college sports for the Philadelphia Daily News, was there, does a great job, of course. And Mike, I guess, that might be one of the greatest moments, not only in college sports in Philadelphia, but that moment for all the readers of the Daily News, that one might be at the top of the list of things that not only you've covered, but we've seen in the city.
It's one of two. I wasn't at the other one. I wasn't there in '85. I was a pup. It's a national championship. There's only been 3 city teams that won one, and one was before the Big Five even became the Big Five. So, so people can make comparisons. They can, one was magical, as an 8 seed. I don't know if this was magical. This was more thorough of a team. If you look at it, in '85, Villanova beat 2 1s and 2 2s en route to the title. This team, in its last 4 games, played Miami, Kansas, Oklahoma, and UNC, 4 teams that were in the top 10 in the final regular season poll. A 2, a 3, a 1, and a 1. So, and beat 2 of them handily. It's two different championships, and I think they can stand alongside each other, and you can appreciate them for what each was. And this team 3 weeks ago was a team that was trying to answer why I couldn't get past the second round. But you know what? They got past the second round.
Mike, you write about the historic perspective for this in today's paper, and can you kind of expand on the fact that there's over 300 teams trying to win a national championship, the size of their school, the improbability that a school like Villanova should do what they did last night?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. Villanova, you consider Villanova a national program. I do. In 210, they were, in 209, they were a 3 seed. In 210, they were a 2 seed. Last 2 years, they were a 2 and a 1, and this year they were a 2. So they must be doing something right to be a 2 or a 3 or a 1. So it's not like, but they're not a football school. And in this day and age, the basketball world is dominated by football schools. You get the Butlers and the VCUs once in a while, and a Xavier, might have it. There are schools that have good programs. But Villanova was the first Catholic school to go to a Final Four since Villanova in 2009. The last Catholic school to win a championship was '85 Villanova. So the days of like St. John's doing that, we haven't seen that in a long time. So, I don't know what it means. Maybe it just means there's a lot of big football schools, but that's the way the whole world is gravitating, which is eventually why the big schools might split off and hold their own tournament or do what they're going to do, because they don't want to share their football money with Morgan State. But for Villanova, Villanova winning the championship is a surprise? No. It was only a surprise because it hadn't made it past the second round in a while. But, they were number 1 at one point this year, as was 3 of the teams they beat to get to the championship. I think they finished the year 6th or 7th. So, no, if you say the 6th-ranked team in the country or 7th-ranked team in the country win the championship, they've won 97 of their last 110 games. It was just a matter that they couldn't get over a hump, and then, then you go and complete it. Now, if they had lost last night, I don't think it would have taken anything away from them, except when you're winning by 10 with 5.5 minutes to go. Then if you lose, it becomes a bad loss. But, if they had went out last night, let's say, and lost by 3 to North Carolina, to me, it would have been just as great of a season, not for them, because they wanted to win the championship. But the fact that they did finish it off takes it to an epic proportion. It takes it the whole way. And, we might not see this again for a while. Who knows? But maybe next year they get back to the Final Four. They might start the season this year ranked number 1 in the country. They lose the 2 seniors, and that's going to be a big loss. But they have a kid coming in who is probably not going to be there for 4 years if everything they say about him is correct. And they've got some good players. So, unless Kentucky brings in 5 NBA players again, I'm guessing Villanova is going to start the season somewhere in the top 5 and maybe at the top.
Mike Kern with us from the Philadelphia Daily News. Is a long day for you, Colonel, as I know you started in Houston, came all the way back to Philadelphia today to get some work done, and now you join us here on the Sports Bash. We've talked to some interesting people today. We visited with Neil Hartman a little bit. We also talked to Ryan Fannin. And one point Ryan Fannin brought up was the proximity of the Astrodome to that NRG Stadium and how, he kind of felt like that almost was sort of karma in Villanova's way. What kind of colorful things that we didn't see on TV can you add to the atmosphere and what it was like last night for that basketball game?
Well, I mean, I don't know if these kids on this team, know much about the 71 team, except that when they go into the Davis Center every day to practice, there's the 85 team, there's the 71 team, which was vacated, by the way. I mean, if you really want to get technical about it, but it happened. But I mean, karma, I mean, they won 2 games in Kentucky, last weekend, which was where they won the national championship in 85. So, I mean, you can get into all that Twilight Zone stuff. I mean, maybe it was meant to be. I mean, I sat down with Jay before the tournament, and we were talking for Spurs, and I used the quote actually in the story yesterday that said, let's go win it all. That was the way he ended the quote. Well, he did. But like he's sitting there last night, he can't explain to you why they won this year and lost in the second round last year. He felt just as good about that team last year as he felt about this team. And this team just happened to, for whatever reasons, play its best basketball of the season when it mattered most. Last year they came up in a bad game against NC State. The year before that, but I don't think they were quite as good, but they lost to UConn, which then wound up winning the championship. And Jay's lost, I think, 5 times in his career to the team that won the championship, including North Carolina twice. So I think it was just their time. I think a lot of this is about, unless you're talking about Kentucky or one of those programs, it's just your time. This year wasn't Michigan State's time, even though a lot of people thought Michigan State had the potential to win it all. And we see these stories in the tournament all the time. I mean, UConn's won its last 2 titles in years where nobody thought UConn was going to win the title, but they did. And, so I think it's just they deserve this. It didn't happen. It wasn't a fluke. And I think some people look at the 85 team as, there was a little bit of magic to it. Maybe it was a little fluky. I mean, I don't think the win over Georgetown was fluky because they'd almost beaten Georgetown twice during the year. The outside world that didn't know the Big East thought, oh, my God, it's this major upset. The people in the Big East weren't that shocked by what happened that night. But I think sometimes it's just who happens to have whatever it does that makes you play about, why is Kansas 2-7 in regional finals under Bill Self? I don't know, but he is. You go through this and dissect it and whatever. Bottom line is Villanova for the last 3 weeks played the best basketball, and I think Carolina played the second best basketball. I think you had the 2 best teams playing last night. And you got a game for the ages. I mean, it's what it's supposed to be about. Yeah. And the semifinals stunk, which they often do, and the final was great.
Mike Kern with us from the Daily News. I'll read your words back to you, bud. You said, which brought us to this closing act, the last time we'd get to see this starless group and its 2 senior leaders, one a 4-year captain from Bucks County. Well, how do you sum up what it's been like to cover, witness, watch Ryan Arcidiacono?
Well, when we say starless, I mean, we have to take that in context. Josh Hart had that quote on I want to say Sunday or one of those days. I'm losing track now. My mind's a blur. He said, look, we don't have a star like a Buddy Hield, who they played in the semifinals, but we have guys who could be stars in other situations. And I think it's an accurate statement. I think Josh Hart showed that he can play with just about anybody. And Ryan Arcidiacono, people look at him as, he's white, maybe he's not the fastest guy out there. Maybe he's not the tallest. Maybe he doesn't jump out of the building. But wouldn't you like to have Ryan Arcidiacono on your team? And the legacy would have been, if they had fizzled this year, that here was this great player or this iconic player. I don't know if he's a great player, but he's an iconic player that never got past the second round of the tournament. Well, now his legacy is he won a national title. And Ochefu. I mean, Daniel gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, but Daniel was meant just as much to those guys. They value that senior thing. They really get into it. And, like Art said after they beat Kansas to get to the Final Four, he says, I would have traded losing in the first round the last 3 years to do this. And, when you're a senior and the last thing that you are going to be remembered for is confetti falling on you, that's pretty good.
Mike, when you look at this team, how many, you mentioned starless and put it into context, are there NBA players on this team? You look at a team that's going to have a couple NBA guys, or is this going to be one of the great college teams?
Jalen Brunson coming out of high school was projected. Some thought he might be here a year. I don't know Jalen obviously was a high school American, and he's a very, very good player. and is going to be the guy that takes over the team for Arch, I do believe, next year. But I don't know. Jalen was good. He's only a freshman. Do I know for sure that Jalen Brunson's going to play in the NBA? No. But that was what the pedigree was. Could Josh Hart play in the NBA? Maybe. Could Chris Jenkins play in the NBA? Maybe. Daniel. But I think what's going to happen is a lot of them are going to play somewhere. Whether it's Europe, whether it's whatever it is. But Villanova just hasn't produced. I mean, in 2009, Scotty Reynolds was a first-team All-American who didn't get drafted. And that's what makes Villanova, I think, a little bit unique, is that they just don't get a lot of those guys. Now, they got this guy coming in next year, Amari Spellman, who is projected to be one of those guys, who's going to be a pro, and he's 6'9" or whatever he is, and can play, and who knows? Mikal Bridges came on this year. Maybe Mikal Bridges in 3 or 4 years is playing in the NBA. All I know is they're good college players. That's all I care about, because they're playing for Villanova. They're not playing for the Sixers. So, and I think that's what Jay has. He has a very good culture of college. Now, what's going to happen is when you win a national championship, and this is what happened in 2009 when you got to the Final Four, you're going to start getting with some better players. Now, they got in with some better players and got those players, and it didn't work out for them. And then they had that 13-19 season in 2-11 and 2-12 because they tried to play different. They tried. And then Jay went back to what Jay likes best, which is playing with a lot of perimeter guys. And, the bottom line is they played defense and they rebounded, and they made shots. And when Villanova shoots the ball like Villanova shot the ball in this tournament, they're not going to lose to very many people because they're always going to do the defense and the rebounding. Sometimes the shot's not there, and, it's a tough night. But, you win a national championship and everybody in America is watching that game, I think some kids are going to be interested in Villanova. So maybe Jay has to start dealing with that problem of getting kids who aren't going to be there for 4 years. And I don't know if that changes things, but, it's a good problem to have.
Mike Kern, Philadelphia Daily News. Well, you talked about it a little bit at the top, Colonel. You said you weren't there in 85. So where were you in 85? And then we know where you were last night. Personally, how does that bring you full circle?
I have no idea where I was in 85. I know I watched the game.
Were you on the staff? Were you on the Daily News staff at that point?
Oh, yeah. I was covering high schools. So,
okay.
I wasn't the college guy, and so I wasn't there. I've never – the only other team I covered that won a national title was Villanova's football team in 2009. We're all sitting there as writers looking at each other saying, did we really, cover this? Did we really? Because, when you're part of it and it's kind of going on, we're sitting there last week going, did they really beat Kansas?
Right.
They're going to the Final Four. Okay. Did they really beat Oklahoma by 44? And you just, all of a sudden it's over. And you're like, okay, we just saw a team win a national title for the first time in 31 years. Maybe that's what people were saying in 85. I don't, but I think 85 had that element of, I don't want to say flukiness because that's not the right word. They played great, obviously, to beat all those teams, but they were beating teams that people didn't think they could beat. Not that this team didn't beat people that maybe they didn't think they could beat, but it was kind of different. And you got to the point. The title game they were a 1.5 point underdog to North Carolina, it means you're a pick'em game, and they were basically a pick'em game against Kansas, and they were basically a pick'em game against Oklahoma. So, but I think 85 had that Jake Nevin, Raleigh Massimino feel that it wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to happen, whether people thought, but if you go back and look at the games they played at a very, very, very high level. And with a shot clock. Back when Raleigh won, there wasn't a shot clock. That was like the last year, I believe, before they put the shot clock in. So Raleigh could kind of play differently, and he was a brilliant coach. He was a brilliant game coach in that era. So it's just different. But they're both great. And they both can stand side by side, and then some team down the road is going to say, I want to be like the 85 and the 216 team instead of just saying I want to be like the 85 team.
It was a good piece over at Philly.com, the Daily News. Mike Kern, another historic moment for Villanova, and it's been a wild 3-week journey to get to where we are with the shot that basically ended it all last night. Mike Kern, we appreciate your time, pal.
Can I go sleep now?
You get all the time off you want until what? Temple football? What do you get? No more college left, right?
I don't think we're done with these guys yet.
Friday.
I mean,
you can sleep till the parade.
I hope I'm not covering the parade. I don't need a parade. That other people can do that. But it's funny. I usually sit down with Jay about a month after the season, and we get together and we kind of look back and last few years it's been tough. This year it's not going to be tough.
No. Well, there's been a lot of great stories, Mike. That the Temple football thing was pretty cool this year, and now the Villanova basketball story. So 2 really good stories with the 2 sports here in a city that is not known for college sports all the time.
And St. Joe had a pretty good one too. I mean, let's not forget that I watched them. I covered them in the Atlantic 10 tournament. That was fun, and then they should have been in the Sweet 16, which for a school like St. Joe's is like Villanova getting to the Final Four. And so it's we've been lucky. Sometimes you get lucky.
Colonel, we know it's a long day for you. I especially thank you for coming on with us because I've known you forever, right? So
let's go to Charlie's. Can we go to Charlie's?
Yeah, let's do it. 800 Shore Road. We'll be there, buddy. We'll have one waiting for you.
I've been there. Trust me.